let's talk about nested loops or chaining information. What I'm talking about here is taking a person from one state to another state and then to another state. So you're going from A, the state that they're in already, and let's say that they're in a state of just doubting something, doubting their ability to heal themselves, doubting NLP, doubting whether or not they're going to get better, doubting themselves. We find that a lot with patients, the doubtful attitude, the idea that, well, maybe it won't work out. Maybe I won't get better. Maybe this won't get me where I need to be. So let's take that one. I think that's a fairly common one. So let's say A is doubt. That's where you find the client living in their doubt. B is an intermediate step. So rather than taking them from doubt to where you want them to be, which is excited about the treatment they're getting, excited about the change that's going to happen and all of that, rather than just taking them right there, we take them somewhere else first. And in this case, it can be curiosity, let's say. We'll take them from A, which is doubt, to B, curiosity, to C, which is excitement. And the way we do it is by telling them a story. And first of all, in A, you're going to pace them, meaning you're going to get into their mindset and their body set and just the way they feel when they're in their doubt. And the way to do that is to get into the way you feel when you feel doubt. Okay, so you can ask them, you can actually say to them, do you feel doubtful about NLP, about the whether it's going to work or not? Do you feel that way? And then you continue on like this. When I'm feeling doubtful, I just feel, almost down. I feel as if things just aren't going to work out. I start looking on the gloomy side of things. My breathing becomes more shallow. My head maybe hangs a little bit like this. My thoughts go to things that have to do with doubt. And you're involving all of the things that you can think of that have to do with doubt on various levels. What do you see when you're doubtful? How do you feel when you're doubtful? What do you hear when you're doubtful? Go ahead and incorporate all of those things. Make that very real. And we'll go back to our doubting phase. Okay. Next, you're going to segue in your story into something that's an intermediary. In this case, we're going to use curiosity. Okay? And you're going to continue on your story. See how they're overlapping? So it's not as if one ends, the other one begins. They're overlapping, kind of like the Olympic circles. They're overlapping. Okay, so as one is ending, the other one's beginning. So ending A and beginning B would sound like this, the way I'm doing it, dealing with doubt, going to our intermediate step, which is curiosity. That reminds me of when I started college. I was doubtful when I started college. I got to tell you, going to a large university, I was at the University of Florida, and I tell you, I really had my doubts. Okay, so I'm in the in-between zone still. I'm in the overlap. Now I'm going to segue into the middle part of B, where I'm actually in B. Then I became curious about learning. My head's going up now. Okay, I'm changing the way I'm standing and the way I'm acting and so forth. Then I became curious about school, and I started to really look into things. I started to become curious about all the things I could learn. My major was psychology as an undergraduate, but I was interested in physics and chemistry and biology, and I was interested in everything. And they had a class for everything. They had really good classes for everything with great teachers. So I really just absorbed it all. I became so curious about everything. Okay? Now I'm going to segue between B and C. I'm going to be in that in-between zone where they're overlapping. So I'm going from state of curiosity to the state of excitement in my story. I'm just taking them along for the ride. Well, after learning about all the classes I could take, I began to get excited about learning. I began to really apply myself and get excited about the possibilities for my future, the possibilities for even where I was at that time. I was just going to be learning so much. I started to get pumped up. I started to look forward to it. Every day would be a new day for me where I could just take in some new information like a sponge and be happy about it and excited about it and really pumped up about it. Okay, so what have I done? I've taken them on a journey from here to here. And more importantly, I've taken them on a journey from a place inside of them where they just didn't have the resources or access to the resources. Of course, they had them. They didn't have access to the resources at the time, because when you're doubtful, what's going to really happen? If you really don't think something's going to work out, what's going to happen? Chances are it's not, because you're just not going to apply yourself. You're going to live in your doubt. You're going to convince yourself that it's not going to work out, and it's very possibly not going to, just because of your doubt. So taking them there directly would be perhaps a little too abrupt in a story. You know, when I feel doubtful, I get excited. Okay, you're excited, let's move on. It's nicer if you can even it out a little bit, smooth it out a little bit, slow it down a little bit. When you're talking about a story and you're taking them along for a ride, take a little bit of time. You can take about, I'd say, 5 minutes to really develop the story, to pay attention to the overlaps, which are very important, because here we go. We're making a jump. We don't want to do it too suddenly, but then we don't want to drag it out all day either. We want to make a transition that's logical and smooth and that they can relate to. So that's how you work with nested loops or chaining information.